Hi everybody, this is Todd Creager, and today I'm going to talk to you about scapegoating and projection in dysfunctional families. And I'll explain what I mean by that. Dysfunctional families oftentimes have at least one and sometimes multiple family members that don't own their own stuff. They don't recognize their own fears. They don't recognize their own sense of inadequacy. And because they can't own it and recognize it and realize how that contributes to what they say and do, they put it on you. That's called projection. So you, as the other family member, can end up carrying what really is theirs. So there's a mix-up between really what's yours and what's theirs. And that's really what happens when you come from a dysfunctional family in a nutshell. That you don't know where you end and where they end and you begin. And you kind of get fused. So the answer then is to find you and find your own way of looking at things and your own thinking and what you really want and what you're really, what are my issues and what are their issues. And the way to do that is really a twofold thing. Number one is awareness. You have to ask yourself questions like, what's really going on? What am I really feeling? And begin to question and challenge the status quo. And then number two is you then need to act on that awareness. And I'll give you an example from my own life. You know, one of the dysfunctions I learned as the years went on in my family, it was that several family members, mainly siblings, oldest sibling-in-law, had a very hard time owning their stuff. They didn't see how judgmental they were. And their judgment came from their fear, and they're a harsh inner critic, and they put a lot of expectation on everybody else, including me. And I tended to oftentimes feel a little anxious and guilty around them. I would feel that way a lot. And I didn't know why I didn't feel good about myself when I was around them. And the problem is that, of course, it spreads to other relationships. So you go around with less self-esteem than you really deserve to feel. And as time went on, that's when awareness kicked in. I had enough pain. You know, you talk to people. I talk to my wife. People see things maybe that I don't see. Sometimes when you're in your family, you're the last person to see the dysfunction. So you want to listen to the people around you that may be seeing things you don't see. So that's where it started for me. And then I started to ask my own questions and then had an awareness of, wow, well, hold on a second. I'm really not that bad. You know what? I think there's stuff going on with them. What might be going on with them? And that became the beginning of breakaway. That's when you do what I call differentiation. That's when you're not a victim of your dysfunctional family. You become your own force. And now, the other good thing is you don't continue that dysfunctional legacy in your own family and your children's families. You stop. It's sort of like I realized the buck better stop with me. All right? That's what it is. And then acting on that awareness. How did I act on that awareness? I acted on that awareness by setting better boundaries, by recognizing that I do not have to meet their approval. I don't have to get their approval. As a matter of fact, the only person's approval I really need to get is my own. And even though it caused some strain in our relationship, my relationship with myself got a lot better. I felt a lot better about who I was when I realized it was them being hard on themselves. It was their guilt. It was their unrealistic expectations. I can be a loving, giving person, but also take care of me at the same time. So that's what I want to say to you. You know, use my example. Begin to ask questions. Where do I begin? Where do they end and I begin? What's their stuff? It happens all the time, so you got to kind of look for it. It's going to happen, that people will project their stuff onto you. And then, like I said, once you're aware of it, then what do I need to set boundaries? What do I need to do to act on that awareness? That's when some people really need a therapist like myself to help them, because the protective mechanisms and the defenses might keep you stuck in that status quo. But there's so much more out there for you in your life, and there's so much more good feelings that you can feel. So don't hesitate, follow that path, seek help if you need it. I'm here to help, and life can open up. This is Todd Creager, making the world safe for love.